Shape Your Life is a hard concept to get. Despite the fact that it's incredibly simple and straightforward, it doesn't fall neatly into the things that have gone before.
I think it's successful because it doesn't claim to manufacture boxers. We're not really about producing fighters. We're about producing people who learn a lot of things through boxing and learn about themselves. And I think the biggest thing they learn is self-care.
For the past 3 years, I've been the coordinator of the Shape Your Life boxing project. I'm also an amateur boxer here at Newsgirls. I've been fighting for about 4 years. I've had 15 amateur fights. I'm also a survivor of violence myself. I lived through about 15 years of violence in the home growing up, and boxing's been a big part of my recovery and changing my life.
The issue of violence, the impact of violence. The impact is huge, and the statistics are growing all the time.
It can happen to anybody. And the other thing is it doesn't show. If the person doesn't talk, it doesn't show. That is the worst thing. I was abused for 7 years. He punched me in my hands, in my arms. He never touched my face, only the rest of my body, my legs and my arms. I mean, one day he was suffocating me with a pillow, and when I look at his face, I knew that he was able to kill me.
Women's anger is often ignored, and yet anger is a really reasonable response to injustice and violence. This is a place where anger was accommodated, encouraged. This is a place where you get to use your body, and those bodies are angry sometimes, and that's part of what gets accommodated in a boxing gym.
Women have come here obviously with a reason, with a belief that boxing here is going to help them in some way.
And the first time when I went to Shape Your Life, I immediately thought about how good would have been if at that time I had something like that, because if I am strong physically, I am going to be strong emotionally, because that goes together. So I will feel more confident, and I know that nobody has touched me.
11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17.
I think it is initially hard for some people to understand, why recreational boxing can be such a great tool for survivors of violence. And I think that's for a number of different reasons. One is that I think there are some people and aspects of our culture that are very afraid of women being able to fight back. And, I think there's individuals who have never stood up against violence against women, but are very quick to jump up against women being able to hit back.
My thinking at the beginning while I was doing my thing and leaving was, I don't want to hit anyone, I don't want to hurt anyone. This is violent. I'm not a lover. I'm not a fighter. I'm a lover. There's no way I'm going to punch anyone. There's no way I want to get punched. I know what that feels like.
When I was in grade 1, something happened, and I retaliated by trying to beat up every boy that I could get to. So, yeah, and that lasted for a few years that I did that.
The trauma I've suffered through, or gone through my life has made me the person who I am. Better or for worse. It's made me very, very resilient, but it's also made me very vulnerable.
Most recently, it's affected me in that I don't feel safe enough to go outside on my own. I shaved my head because this way I look a little bit more masculine and more intimidating, or less like a girl. Actually, I even started binding so that I look like a boy, so that I appeared as a boy outside. Yeah, and then I shut myself up at home instead of going out, There was a period of time when I had started boxing already that I was so feeling unsafe that I didn't come to boxing even. I came to the Shape Your Life classes, but that was it.
lack of trust for people is huge. Asking for help is huge. Like, I will starve, walk to school in the winter before I have to ask someone for a TTC token, which is stupid. Why would I freeze? You know what I mean? Like, but it's that whole not wanting to ask for help, or just thinking no one is going to help you. The feeling of being alone. So it's that you isolate yourself from people as a result of being traumatized so much, or haven't gone through a lot of trauma. In my mind, I feel the trauma I've been through was much, because I feel like no one should have to go through any of those things. I don't want to compare what I've gone through to other people, but for me, I know it was too much for me to deal with. I'm anxious, I'm extremely vulnerable, I don't trust as well, I don't ask for help. So, and having been in the Shape Your Life program, those are all the things I'm now aware of, very much aware of, and trying my best to implement in my life. I don't want to say change or fix, because those are things I'm going to constantly be battling with for the rest of my life.
I have experienced violence. I wouldn't classify myself specifically as a survivor of violence. I guess the way I see it is, for me, this is things that happened so long ago in my childhood that I no longer feel I identify as that person. So although it's a part of my past, it's not necessarily what defines me anymore.
I do think that, who I am has been partially shaped by my experiences of violence, and that I sought out boxing specifically because I was tired of feeling afraid all the time in my daily life. I was very nervous taking the subway or walking alone or living alone, and just wanted to do something to feel stronger and feel more confident so that I wouldn't have to feel that way all the time.
If my experiences led me to boxing in particular, I can say that the way that I felt in myself and in my body, and I guess the low self-esteem that I had about how I felt and looked as a human being, was something that drew me to a very physical sport such as boxing.
I was one of the people that wanted to start this program and saw a grant that was for victims of violence, was the way that the grant was phrased, and thought that this would be an interesting pairing to bring it into a boxing gym and work on a project where we were teaching recreational boxing to survivors of violence.
You're a machine, you are solid, you're like a sugar cane. Okay, so the game we're going to play is called Bingo Dabble.
Shape Your Life works for a few reasons, and part of it is the kind of people that are offering the program here. So the program requires a coach like Savoy. You need somebody that has an awareness of injustice and power issues, but also has the same wild understanding of women's strength and women's capabilities and the transformative nature of boxing.
Go! Go! It's going to be messy and Tasmanian. Go! Block attack, Scrap. Hit her now, Scrap.
I've been in gyms for 18 years, and I've seen how some of the coaches train the fellas. And I have to say, I've seen some coaches that I disagree with their training tactics, using swear words and loud voices almost to intimidate the fellas, to kind of wean out the ones who can't handle that kind of thing. Whereas in here, we use a lot of humor, we make it fun, and we let the women know that it's so safe. So that's a big part of our philosophy, and we find it works.
Shape Your Life works because it is not about talking. It's about going in someplace, a safe place, and having your own body back under your own control. So a lot of violence happens for women. Things happen to them that are not their choice. They talk about feeling the limits of their body in a very bad way. So what's happened to them has happened to them not because of choice, and they are survivors. So people will say to them, wow, you went through something like that, you're a survivor, that's amazing. In the gym, in Shape Your Life, it works because the control is back with them. The control is in their hands. They are the ones really, really stressing their own bodies. Their bodies are under their control. And it works because it is so not about talking. The women don't need to share. It's about them in their own space and feeling what it's like to really take control, hit something so hard you want to pass out, and feel what that's like to breathe your way through to the other side of it. That's the beauty of it. It's just so incredibly simple in a way, but so earth-shatteringly powerful.
It's the most visceral of sports. So the notion of being able to engage someone's body, their body that they've experienced violence through, and use that body as a tool through which to learn their own strength and power made so much sense. And I'd had the opportunity to do a bit of boxing myself as an amateur boxer and as a novice boxer. Just training in boxing was transformative in so many ways. It has you rethink. You really literally look at the world through your own fists, and you look out at the world, and that view is different. You start to see things differently, and you take care of your body in a different way. There's a kind of self-care that you have to do when you're training in this sport. The way that you begin to see your strength is different, and you get to really not only play with your power and use your hands as weapons, but you get to experience a place that takes your anger and aggression and celebrates it and lets you transform it in a way that's positive and put it into something that harnesses it. And that opportunity is there for men in a lot of ways. But there's very few places and spaces in this world where women are encouraged to use their anger productively or use their aggression productively. And that pairing, again, made so much sense. And it was one of the things that I think grabbed participants quite early on in the program.
It's easier to just let out your aggression physically as opposed to trying to find the words to do it. I didn't really know that there was aggression in me towards these kinds of things, that other people can take advantage of me like that, until I started boxing. So it's like I always buried my anger or frustration or resentment or anything like that. Boxing is just easier than talking.
You can sit and talk in a chair for as much as you would like, but if you don't get it out of your body, it stays there and it marinates. Like I've been to counselors since I moved out of my mom's house at 16. I've had over 5 counselors, and I'm very picky. I go and I sit down and I make sure we click, and race, gender, all that stuff. I sit down and I take my time and I find someone, and then I just divulge and I talk, and then I get tired and I go find something else. But I'm constantly doing that, and I find that although that is so helpful, I need the physical part. And biking is okay, but the actual punching and there's a part of it where you start to scream and you don't even know you're screaming. Like you can do 10 minutes on the heavy bag and you're just going, arr, and you don't even realize you're doing it, and it's loud and loud and loud, but there's like 5 other women doing it, so you don't even care. That is what I mean. Like I think you need that part. Like you need to physically get it out of your body because it lives there.
Some of these women are very open to sharing their story because they feel so safe here, and they know that they're in a room with other women and trans people who identify as survivors. So there's a lot more story sharing, and I'm blown away by every story that comes my way. Like, it seems like boxing is having an incredible effect on a lot of different parts of their life. For example, one woman we had, unfortunately, she had to put her son in the care of Children's Aid Society. Not because she wanted to, but because she had no support, no money, and she wanted to make sure that he was fed. And then somebody, her worker or something, said, go check out this Shape Your Life program. So she did. She started coming. After her third class, she realized that she was a beast, that she was so powerful after meeting the heavy bag. She marched back into Children's Aid and said, I want my son back. And however that all came about, she got her son back. And then a short time later, she said, hey, Savoy, I want to compete. I said, okay. So we got her ready for competition. She did very well in competition. Took her to the provincials last October, and she won gold. And after the competition, when they gave her the gold, oh, I'm gonna cry. When they gave her the gold medal, she jumped up and down and screamed at the top of her lungs for like 5 minutes or so. She could not believe that she had won a gold medal at the Ontario Provincials.
Nice, yes.
So I've been boxing almost for 4 years now, but it's still on a pretty regular basis. Something will happen here that really relates back to my experiences of violence as a child. And one of these instances was this past week. When I was about 11 or 12, I think, at home, I got hit in the stomach, and it knocked the wind out of me, and it knocked me out. I kind of hyperventilated trying to catch my breath for a few times, and then I fainted onto the floor. And I've definitely, carried that with me a lot throughout my life, because it's really scary to not be able to breathe. And it was scary to be unconscious, and then you kind of wake up and you don't know where you are, and it's scary to think about what could be done to you while you're unconscious. And so, when one of the first defensive exercises I ever did at Newsgirls, Savoy roped me and another woman together around the waist, and we punched each other in the stomach and practiced blocking body shots. And and of course I was thinking about this. It was like she had somehow instinctively knew what my greatest fear was, and was like, we're going to do that first. But then this past week, in getting prepared for this tournament we're fighting in next weekend, I was working with one of the sparring coaches, and just coincidentally, he got this right hook in around, and he said I just accidentally moved right into it. And he nailed me right in the solar plexus, and it dropped me in a millisecond. It absolutely did knock the wind out of me. But through the years of boxing, I've been hit in the stomach a number of times, that I've kind of learned that, when you get hit, you can back up a little bit and not show that you can't breathe, and just try and calmly exhale through your nose and until you start being able to breathe again. So even though I got knocked down, I immediately just started thinking about exhaling, through my nose, and that I'd be able to get a breath in a second. And he helped me to stand up, and Savoy was, coaching from the sidelines, and she's like, okay, you got a 10 count. And she started counting 1, 2, 3, and the whole time I'm still trying to breathe. And by about 6, I managed to get a breath in, and by 10, I was ready to keep sparring. And we finished the round, and I fought the rest of the round, and a bunch of the girls in the gym are on the sidelines, and they are all cheering, and it was a great moment for me, and something I'm really proud of.
And they may say no, but a year down the road, when you're up and you got competitors competing, and you send it to them again, they'll go, oh, I remember them, right? Like, is there one first step? Recently, we've had a visitor from Jakarta, and she came down to observe and to take the project back to Indonesia.
Yeah, like make a list of networks. When we find out about Shape Your Life project and its very effective tools for the empowerment for women and trans people survivor of violence, we feel like we really need this kind of program for our country. Because, first of all, as a survivor of violence, as an activist, we need safe space to release anger. We need healthy aggression. We need self-defense skills, because the violence could happen anytime, and it's so risky. We feel insecure most of the times. We need something to make us feel more confident and strong. And that's how Save Your Life program inspire us to do the same project in Indonesia, which is now we have Kartini Sejati Boxing Club.
Scrapper and I went and helped them set up their boxing program this year, and they started their own Shape Your Life program. They're working with a lot of women of the Muslim community who face a lot of violence just at home. So it made perfect sense to them that this is the type of project that they would need to slowly get stronger.
Yeah, we get positive response finally to have show at the shopping mall, at a TV show, which is, we feel like, oh, now public already pay attention to us, and it seems like it's positive. And which we feel that this kind of positive visibility could be the answer for the negative response from the society. Like, yeah, we feel like we need to work more with media, like Save Your Life do. How we can build the positive image of our boxing club. This is not about the circle of violence. This is actually one of the tools to help the survivor of violence. That's what we want to bring.
She's the perfect person to have stumbled onto the model, because I think she's going to be able to take it even further.
We feel like lots of surprising things happen, and then we feel like lucky, and so now we have our own gym, and then we run the program.
I see a lot of changes in myself as a result of Shape Your Life. I think boxing would have done that, but Shape Your Life took it a step further because there's this community component to it. I think you can go boxing, and although it's very empowering and you get all that physical frustration out and all of that, Shape Your Life does that, and then there's an added component where there's someone standing right beside you saying, you can do this. This is not a space where anyone is going to hurt you. Who did it was wrong. That kind of language is really, really helpful.
Nice, good body and time. Nice.
I would like to be able to bring the Shape Your Life experience, as it were, to other people in the future. You know, maybe other groups that are experiencing violence or have other issues that boxing could be empowering for. I think there are a lot of people out there who are struggling with self-identity and who they are and how and feeling comfortable in their bodies. And I think that that's something that, you know, boxing, both from my own experience and from seeing how it's worked with participants in the Shape Your Life program, boxing really makes a real big difference to these people. And as a coach, I would like to, you know, pay that forward a little bit.
Every time we offered an opening for a spot in the program, it was filled and there was somebody else's name on the waiting list. So there's always a need for this program. And there aren't enough opportunities for people to come in and be in a program like Shape Your Life. And the people are searching for ways to shape their lives, and we're not often able to help as many people or work with as many people that are asking for a program like this.
I feel women, after participating in the actual program, first off, it doesn't mean that you're done. that you still need support, and the women are still battling the same issue. Speaking for myself, I've actually gone through the program. I'm still battling the same issues I was when I had come into the program, but I'm better equipped, and I still need support in the sense that I need to be reminded that I am strong and beautiful, and I'm very capable. And I think it's the same for most women. We need to be reminded and just feel like we have a wider support network, because the new life that we're kind of building for ourselves, the people we meet in this environment, especially Shape Your Life, I find that if you're very serious about your healing, you tend to want to have friends that think like you, and they come from the place you go to, which is the gym.
When the participants leave here and they walk out of this gym, they walk out and they carry those experiences with them. And those experiences are now embodied. So their body was really a place where they experienced violence. And now their body gets to be a place where they experience strength, and they get to reclaim a relationship with their body where it's powerful. And that's at the core what this program is about and what it does.